Hello, everyone. This is Rob Golfi with REMAX, the Golfi Team. Welcome to the Golfi Real Estate Show, Hamilton Edition with Phil Golfi and host Rick Zamprin.
Good morning once again. Wow, we got a barn burner of a show for you today. We're going to talk about cottage prices, house prices expected to go up in some places of Ontario. Find out where, hint, close to us. Also, we're also going to talk about how much you really need to buy a home in this city. We got a bunch of other topics we're going to get to as well, including a story that Phil has on deck about his big move. Don't forget, if you want to get your home sold, or if you're on the market to buy a house, you got to call the number one REMAX team in Canada. That is the Golfi Team. 905-575-7700. Online at robgolfi.com. That's RobGolfi.com. Find them on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and X. And if you have a topic idea or a question for the Golfi team, send them an email. Questions at robgolfi.com is the email address. So let's begin with what's going on in your real estate life. Maybe we'll start with a big Phil Golfi move.
Yeah, I moved to the other side of the bridge, as most people say, which is, often talked about as the Skyway Bridge. So I made the big move to Burlington. I know I've talked about it on the show, dating back almost 2 years where I've been looking for a property and looking, and I sent out postcards, and it was a long search, and we were very, neighborhood street specific, but I finally made the move. I moved in 2 weeks ago. And I just have to say, moving sucks. For the amount of people that I help move in my life, in terms of that's what I help people do every single day, it is one of the most daunting tasks, annoying, stressful that you can put yourself through. So here, and ours went really well. We hired a company, Morrison Moving Company. They were unbelievably amazing in terms of helping us move. We packed all our stuff up, so we had everything in boxes. We were able to kind of leave our furniture in the same place, and all in one day, all in one morning, they came in, picked up all our boxes, moved all our furniture, and we were set up the exact same day we moved. Wow. So they were, people would recognize them from their trucks. They got like this burgundy, font with the teal blue kind of, outside. And so they were awesome. We got a great team in terms of working with them. Their owner showed up on site, checked in on us, wanted to see how everything was going. But I just, this is, kind of my first big move. I was in a condo earlier, and, when you're moving into a condo, there's only like one of everything. There's one couch and one bed. It's, really easy to do. It was easy.
You were just starting out.
That's so fine. This move was, multiple rooms, large pieces of furniture. And, one thing I would suggest is 100% hire a moving company. Like, get a moving company, and a professional moving company, somebody that's, reputable in the city, somebody that's, has good reviews, and we talk about it all the time.
It saves all the headache.
Yeah.
Like, I'll tell you, the moving is one of the most, it's in the top 5 most stressful things that people can do in their life.
And one thing that, we did really well was we prepared for it. So we started packing like 2.5, 3 weeks, even before we started purging and getting rid of a bunch of stuff that we didn't, we weren't using or didn't need. And so it made the move go so well. But I always recommend this when I'm helping people buy and sell homes is never close on the exact same day. And if you're able to work with somebody who's out, like in terms of a financing company or what have you, bridge your move. So whether
or if you're a first-time buyer, don't move in the same day you take possession.
Don't move in the same day.
And I'll tell you one lesson I learned about movers. They are so efficient.
Very.
And if you hire them and they come in the morning, and then your deal doesn't close till later on in the afternoon, they're sitting there and you're paying them by the hour.
You're paying them by the hour.
So I always advise, if you're going to get a mover, have them come in the afternoon, because you'd be amazed how fast they can empty a house out.
Yeah.
If you're prepared well, everything's boxed up and everything, they are so good. And I remember one move that I had where we hired them. They were there in the morning, and they were finished loading up the truck like within less than 2 hours.
Exactly. That was the same as us. It was less than 2 hours and the truck was packed and ready to go.
And so we bought and sold for the same day closing. So when we went to the other house, it didn't close yet. So we're
you're waiting around.
So the trucks are sitting down the street, parked on the side of the road, and waiting till we close. And we didn't close till close to 5 o'clock. So I paid them for the whole day sitting there doing nothing. So if you're gonna hire, if you got good movers, you hire them to come in the afternoon, and then you move in.
So this
in the
happened to me. So my house closed on the Friday. I ended up moving on the Monday, but my house did not close until 5 p.m. on the Friday of the closing date. But I didn't move that day. So that day was nothing for me. I knew that the closing could have potentially got delayed and even delayed until Monday, but it closed in the 11th hour on the Friday.
And that's why you close on Thursday in case there is a hiccup, which happens often. So the next day is just the next day.
But even
if you close on Friday, the next day is Monday, which you could be stuck on a weekend someplace.
Yeah. So my property closed late on Friday. So in my head, I was like, thank God I didn't schedule everything to happen on the Friday, but you know, I got the house. I had the weekend to kind of clean it up and do whatever I wanted to do with it, just to kind of prep the move. And then on the Monday morning, the mover showed up at like 8:30 a.m. and away we went, and everything was seamless. So you know, kind of a daunting task. It's something that you kind of you mark in your calendar, and the average closing date right now is probably 60 to 90 days. So you kind of have that day highlighted, and you start to get ready and start packing, and then all of a sudden it's here, and it's like, holy smokes, like we're moving in a couple days, and our you just feel like you're never prepared fully. But we did the best we could to pack everything up and get going. So my recommendation for people out there, number one, gone are the days of calling all your friends or family.
Don't do it.
Calling all your friends or family over to help, and offering them pizza and beer and wings and to help you with the move. Like, those days are gone, and all the guys that got pickup trucks and cube vans and whatever. So those days are gone. But yeah, I wanted to work with a professional company, and I've heard absolute horror stories of people kind of going on Kijiji and finding the people that aren't the professionals, and and trying to cheap out on a company. So I'm so happy. Morrison's moving company. If you're in looking for a mover or
call these guys.
Up and coming move, these guys were unbelievable, and I'm going to recommend
Family business.
Yeah.
Those are the way to go. Family business.
I'm going to recommend them to every single one of my clients.
I got to tell you a story about a move. So a friend of mine. I know
this story. I've heard this story multiple times.
Yeah, you'll probably remember this story, Rick. Anyway, so he calls me and all my friends. We're gonna go and help him move. He was in Mississauga. They're moving to Vancouver. So I said to him, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you a full day. I'm out at 5 o'clock. I already gave my
terms and conditions.
Terms and conditions. I'm out at 5. We get there in the morning, and Rick, it's like me going to your house and you're saying, okay, we got to move today. Like, everything's got to be out today. And nothing, no boxes, nothing's packed, dirty dishes in the sink. It's like, so we're getting there. And my other friends and myself, we're going, are you kidding? Are you kidding? And I just said, listen, I'm out of here at 5. Do you know, we had to go to all the grocery stores and liquor stores trying to get boxes and everything. By that time, when we found boxes, it was probably like 1 or 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so 1 or 2 o'clock, I was like, when I left, my terms and conditions of leaving, and I said, see you guys. And another guy jumped on board with me. He says, I'm not dealing with this. I'm not dealing with this. He left. He says, screw this. He didn't prepare himself. Why should we have to suffer and pack for him? The only thing we were there for is to lift boxes, put them in either in a truck or a trailer or whatever. But we were packing.
But you weren't in real estate at the time.
I wasn't in real estate at the time, but we were packing like their clothes. Like, we're like opening up their drawers and seeing all their personal items, and it was it wasn't a good thing. So my friends and I, we talk about it, and I still hang out with this buddy of mine. He lives in Vancouver, and we meet, we see each other once or twice a year. But my other friends, we talk about what a
nightmare,
what a mess of a show that was that day.
But up until recently, like I would say up until maybe 10 years ago, but people were moving their appliances and taking them with them.
No, more. Yeah, it was.
Maybe how long ago do you think until?
So when I started, everybody took their appliances with them.
Right.
Yeah.
That's insane.
No, but it's just, I don't know what it was. Everybody put their appliances, but then all of a sudden it shifted. And I don't know when that shift happened. Maybe about 10 years ago. And everybody now they leave the appliances at the house.
It's like you take the fridge and the stove and the washer and dryer. You're gonna rip out a wall and ruin a door frame and scratch a door. It's now everybody. But takes, also appliances they've gotten to this throwaway like there's no such thing as really an appliance repair guy. As much as there used to be, everyone just throws it out and goes and goes and buys a new one.
Well, there are appliance repair guys. You probably have newer fridge, Phil. So, but the appliance guy, the appliances, because they started becoming stainless steel appliances, people wanted them, and a lot of people don't want to move them.
But appliances used to last so much longer.
They don't last as long. Yeah, sometimes it's just the way the fridge fits in that cabinet, a kitchen, and
that's true.
So why take a fridge that's not going to fit the next house?
Yeah, but that's still even like a misconception in talking to buyers and sellers today, where some sellers will want to keep their appliances, and I said, it sounds like a great idea now when we're talking about it, but on moving day when you're packing 100 boxes and trying to move your beds and dressers and wardrobes and everything else, the last thing you want to do is, pull out your stove and your fridge and haul it out the front door. So, I always say, make sure, leave the appliances and often
it depends how new they are.
But also the house that they're going to or wherever they're moving is going to have appliances as well. So it's for them to take them and replace and that sort of thing. But I would say on 99% of deals today, appliances are included.
First and foremost, great story by Phil in our first segment about moving. I've moved 9 times in my life. 8 too many, to be honest. But shout out once again to Morrison's Moving Company. Sound like they're a great bunch of guys and gals. Rob, you wanted to reflect on some stats, current stats that harken back to an earlier era of a struggling housing market.
Yes. So the way the market seems to be working, it's repeating itself from the second half of last year, and I truly believe it's going to happen next year. So right now, buyers, be aware that this is your time, and I've said that many times right now. So buyers, last year, it was their time in the end of November, December, and January. So and it looks like it's happening again. The market's kind of softened up and climbed down for a buyer's market, and I truly feel that this is your moment. So if you're looking at buying and thinking, waiting for whatever, don't wait. Because the mass right now are sitting and waiting. You got to do the opposite than the mass of the people. But here's what's happening: like the market is floating up and down, like 3 to 5% here and there, 2 whatever up, 2 down, 2, 3 up, 3 up, 3 up, down, and back and forth. Now that's happening in Hamilton. It shows that. Now in Burlington, same thing. And the same thing is happening in Burlington. So things are starting to soften up in Burlington, and that'll be in December and January. Now, we had the up and down market that went up 2%, 3 and down, up and down in the 90s. Now, that lasted pretty close to a decade. We will not experience that in the next we're not going to experience that for a decade because we have a shortage of homes in Ontario, especially all over Canada. So I truly believe that this is kind of being a repeat of the 90s, but in a short format. So my theory is next year the market is gonna be good, but up and down depending on the month. And I think towards the end of next year, but 2025, you're going to start seeing things climbing slowly and aggressively towards the end of 2025, and then 2026 is going to be a boom year. So buyers, this is your chance. Sellers, if you got a hot property that everything's done, you have no problem in this market. No matter what market it is, you got brand new kitchens, floors, windows, doors, bathrooms, roof. you will sell regardless for top dollar because that's what people want. But yeah, I truly feel that it's kind of a little bit of a repeat of the 90s. And I lived through that. And I wasn't a realtor then. And believe me, I lived in one house for 5 years. I bought it for $120,000, and 5 years later I sell for $120,000.
Yeah. So I just think right now we're so contingent on what's going to happen with rates. And when you look at the history of the Bank of Canada interest rates, even if I'm looking at it right now in terms of the early 90s. And one thing that the Bank of Canada has done in the past is when they raise rates, they go quick. When they drop rates, they go even quicker. And when you look at the history of some of these rates, like they go, we were going up like quarter points. We're kind of, taking the steps up when you look at, in terms of recently. But when you see these rates drop, and they start to come down and they start to put more confidence and affordability into this market, it's gonna take off again. Yeah. We were in a housing crisis 5 or 6 months ago, right? You don't just happen to get out of a housing crisis just because of the rates go up. We're still in a housing crisis, but we don't have the affordability that people had last year in 2022 when the interest rates were at an all-time low, 1% and 2%. And that's when we saw that crazy market take off. The second we start to get the good news, even recently, like our November in comparison to October, volumes are up.
Yeah.
Units are up.
Yeah.
There's people that are back in the marketplace who were sitting on their hands, not looking. And we're starting to see showings up. Even properties that we had, 60, 70 days on market are have had multiple showings in a weekend now. So we're starting to see the market turn just a tiny bit. Now that could be, the last rush before Christmas, before the holiday season. But the second we start to get good news, the second that we understand, and I feel like rates are going to hold. I feel like the interest rate hikes are behind us. But once they start to come down, which they will eventually, that's going to put a ton of motivation into the market for buyers.
You mentioned rates, and I was just doing a quick historical examination of what the mortgage rate was on average in Canada back in 1990. It was 13.95%. The following year, 1991, was 9.45%. That was a variable mortgage rate. And it kind of went all the way down to about 5.7% in 93. And when you look at the difference in prices in the 90s, yeah, we did see a decline. It spiked to $168,000 in 1989, but by 1995, 6 years later, was at $143,000, which doesn't seem like a big dip when you compare to nowadays. Month over month, we can see a $25,000 blip going down or up. The volatility of housing prices now is much more noticeable compared to even the 90s.
Yeah.
Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, no,
absolutely.
Very fair. It's hard to gauge, but like 5% on a house now is a lot. It's $50,000 on a million.
Yeah.
Excuse me, but on a 5% on 100,000 was only 5,000. But the banks, they gave a hard time. I remember when I was, I had a buyer that wanted to buy this townhouse on the Hamilton Mountain, and the right valued price on that was 100,000. But the sellers weren't letting it go for less than 105,000.
Right.
And I said to my clients, I said to them, I go, look, you're overpaying, and they were happy with it because their parents lived down the street, and they wanted to be on the same street as their parents because they had kids, and their parents can look after the kids. And I said, well, your bank is going to say something, and I
on 5,000.
On 5,000, and 5,000 today, we're saying that doesn't seem much, but they were more stringent back then when I first got into the business 25, 26 years ago on 5,000. So when they went to the bank says, well, you're going to have to make up that 5,000. And when they talked to the bank and they said, oh yeah, our agent told us that we probably would have to do that. And so I made it knowledgeable to them. So that's the experience. But the thing is, that 5% makes a huge difference back then. But now 5%, they more like, hey, if a willing buyer is willing to pay for it, it's worth it then.
Everything was so much more predictable. Even when I first got into the business, you would see a house come up and I felt like I had a better chance to predict it to the to the dollar amount of what that place would sell for. And now it's so hard.
Yeah.
And like Rick was saying, it's so volatile. You see these, you see a house come up on the street and one sells for $750 and then the next one sells for, $675. You're like, okay, well, that's a massive spread of a dollar amount.
But you know what the problem of that is? That is realtors and clients and realtors and out-of-town buyers coming from Mississauga, GTA. They come into the Hamilton, Niagara market. They come down and their agent says, wow, this is a good deal here in Hamilton, right? Because they're comparing prices in Mississauga, Toronto, and the client's going, yeah, that seems like a good price. And us realtors here in Hamilton love it because they're paying the top dollar, high dollar for it. And it's just like us going to people in Niagara, Hamilton, going to Mississauga, Toronto, like
or going out of province, going to Nova Scotia or New Brunswick and finding a farm for $50,000 or a big house for $75,000 out there, right? It's all relative.
My friend was looking at something in Nova Scotia. It was $100,000, beautiful, 1,000 square foot sided house bungalow. $100,000 in the East Coast, right? And I says that seems cheap, but maybe that's an overpriced listing. We don't know that.
And then you find out it's been on the market for 250 days and no one else has bought it. And you start to ask yourself, okay, well, what's going on here? Why hasn't this place sold?
So that's why you got to be careful. You got to use the local person that lives and works in that area when you're buying a house in a different city, especially these GTA buyers. They're coming here, get the local, because that agent is very familiar only with high-priced homes, and he comes here and saying, this is a super deal. And same thing with agents coming from out of town. They come to our area, and they list a house because they think it's a great deal. Hey, I could sell this house. It's cheap. It's $800,000. Meanwhile, it should be only $700,000.
Yeah, gone are the days where, the local realtor only sells in their little market.
Oh, we cross borders like you would not believe.
So it's the Ontario Real Estate Association is where we're licensed to sell anywhere in Ontario. But, for me, it's, people have asked me to go out to Muskokas and go beyond kind of our market where we are, Hamilton, Burlington, Niagara. And I just said, it's a disservice for you to have me go out there and try and advise you on certain, places in cottage country or, up in Toronto. And, I'm a big proponent of, referring it out and referring them to a specialist who can help them.
I've had Ottawa realtors come here.
Yeah.
I can't believe it. I'm like, what's going on up there? You guys got run out of homes or what?
Speaking of prices, REMAX is out with its 2024 Housing Market Outlook Report, and it showcases a bunch of things, including an expectation that the market is going to be more active in 2024. From a national average perspective, prices will be up by 0.5 percentage point, and places like Hamilton, Burlington, Niagara is going to go from a buyer's market to more of a balanced market, as well as a prediction of a 3.5% price spike in Hamilton, Burlington, and Niagara. Are you buying into what this REMAX report is saying?
I see that happening in February, and we're going to have a flurry of activity that's going to happen, and that'll dictate where the market's going to go. We had the same thing happen early this year. It started really picking up. Will it hold for the whole year? It's hard to tell, but I do feel that it's going to maintain a balanced market. We're not going to see any more big drops. I think overall the whole year it's going to be a good market, but balanced. And the great thing in this market is, as for a buyer, they can think about it. They can get their home inspector in there. They can double check. And I'll tell you, it's good for the buyer, and sometimes it's good for the seller because they find out things about their house on home inspections that they didn't know about, and they may have to repair. But a lot of people got stuck buying homes with a lot of problems in the last couple of years, and now they got to fix these problems.
Yeah, I think if you asked me this question, and I said this, I remember saying this last year, and I remember the fourth quarter of the real estate market being really slow and really quiet in terms of units, in terms of volume. Yeah. Last year, the fourth quarter was one of the worst times to sell a property in a really long time. And up until, I would say the beginning of November, I would have said, if November's a sign of what's to come in the spring of next year, this real estate market is trending in a really strong direction.
Yeah.
I think and I think, like I said, in terms of interest rates right now, there's a lot more consumer confidence in terms of rates holding and staying where they are, or if not dropping or starting to drop next year, which is a really good sign for this market. I think once we get that confidence of even just rates holding, if something comes out and says, rates are not going to go up anymore, and they haven't, we think that they're not going to go up anymore, but they haven't been on record to explain that. I think that's going to build a lot of confidence. But one thing I want to say is, if you're out there right now and you have a mortgage renewal coming up, or if you're trying to hang on to a variable mortgage that you can't afford, or what have you, be proactive in terms of, if you can't afford a property anymore, be proactive in terms of selling it. You don't want to be the person who has a deadline or a timeline to sell a property and it's running out on you, and the only thing that you can do to try and generate buyer's interest is dropping the price. And I've had a situation recently which somebody unfortunately was had a mortgage on it. They couldn't afford it anymore, and we're in a really tough position of trying to sell this property given a really tight timeline. And the only thing that we're trying everything to generate buyers and get people interested, and the only thing that we had left to do was continuing to drop the price to generate interest, because they didn't give themselves that long runway of that 60 to 90 days on market to be able to get the price that in my opinion the house should have been worth. And so if you're in a position of struggling with affordability with your property right now, like I said, be proactive and get out in front of it and give yourself time to sell the property, because the days of the property selling in 7 or 14 days are gone. And you might need 40 to 60 days on the market to be able to get that price that you deserve.
Let's get into cottage country, because there is a report out that shows that prices have continued to go down, whether it's in Muskoka, the Kawarthas, Halliburton. Price drops anywhere from 14 to 31% year over year. The question is, however, do you buy? If you're a buyer, do you buy now, or do you wait for a potential continuation of this price drop? What are you guys hearing?
Yeah, I looked at the numbers in the Kawarthas, Halliburton, and Muskoka. So in Muskoka, between December and March, actually between December and February, if you're going to make a move, that's the time to buy in Muskoka. Now, in Kawartha Lakes, between November and February, and even a little bit in March, I would get in there before the spring market happens. And then in Halliburton, again, November to February, March is what's happening. Now, a lot of people are unloading their cottages right now because they bought them during COVID. These are people that, one, weren't really cottagers. They probably went to their friend's cottage, loved it, and bought it, refinanced their house to buy a cottage, or took a line of credit and bought it. And they're finding it's very expensive, especially where the interest rates are now. And they're realizing they're not using it to the full effect like they wanted to, or if they maybe Airbnb'd it, and it's not working out for them.
That's what I was going to say. The Airbnb market's flooded with these cottages right now.
Yeah.
And the numbers of starting to buy and develop this into an Airbnb, and what they're getting in return for it now it's not worth it.
It's a lot of work. So I looked here in the Kawarthas right now, the Kawartha Lakes, they have 8.3 months of inventory. So they've jumped quite a bit in inventory, and they've got and then in Halliburton, they've got 10.7 months of inventory, and Muskokas, they're at 9.4 months of inventory. So I get it. Like, I mean, I'd be one of those guys. If I bought the cottage, I'm not a cottage person. I go to a friend's cottage maybe once every couple of years or 5 years or whatever. And if I go up there, this is great. This is great. And if the next weekend I'm driving up there looking at cottages, chances are I'm going to be probably wanting to sell it as soon as the interest rates went up. You know what I mean? Like, it's just something that non-cottagers that didn't grow up cottaging is probably going to sell just because of the expense. Now, people that grew up with cottages, they're lifers.
That's great. The family cottage is awesome. When you have a big family and you can go up there and have everyone up there, that's great.
If everybody's using it, that's fine. But that's why there's everybody's dumping their cottages due to the fact that
it's a mistake that people made with too much money. It was the too much money mistake, you know. That's what happened.
Go out in December and buy cottages, but the hard thing about buying a cottage in the wintertime, you don't know if the lake has grass growing up in it, so you don't know.
That's why you got to use a local realtor up there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Do not hire an agent from your own town to buy a cottage up north, because you may end up with a sewage.
There's so many nooks and crannies and you know. There's so many things, especially in terms of buying a cottage that you know, somebody who's not from the area has no idea about. If I was 100%, I would hire an agent.
I would hire an agent.
100%.
I would hire an agent. I wouldn't just go look and say, hey, I'll buy this, and all of a sudden you find out, oh, you're on soft land, you're on sandy soil, you're on
then
dump
you're
site.
dealing with a lot of water levels, and
you got a lot of bears hanging out eating your garbage. Who knows?
Let's switch gears. We've got a couple minutes to talk about Hamilton's household's budget in terms of being able to afford to buy a home. There was a report back in October that suggested that the average income needed to purchase a home in this city was $177,000 a year. And even then, with the average price, Hamilton, Burlington, upwards of $800,000 plus. Is that enough? It sounds like most of these home buyers are still turning to the bank of mom and dad, even if they can afford it.
Yeah, you do need a lot of income to afford a house now. Like, it's amazing with the cost of a car, the cost of groceries, utilities, and just maintenance. You need, like, if you're making $100,000 a year, you're scrimping, I think, owning a house to a certain degree. Like, and usually
it's hard. There's not a lot left over at the end,
No.
even for high income earners. Like it's the cost of living has gotten out of control.
It is expensive, and you better make sure nobody gets laid off or quits their job. And these millennials like to quit jobs first and then look for another job. So you better make sure that millennial doesn't do that.
Generation Z or Z, either or, they're looking for homes, but their priority list is a little different, perhaps, than boomers or Gen X or millennials. Their top priority, according to a report from a company called Point Two, on their priority list is mental health, work-life balance, environmental, and financial stability. So, Rob, Phil, when it comes to Gen Z buying a home, is it easy to cater to this age group or this age demographic?
Well, they're just getting started out. I think they're between the ages of 20 and 26 or something like that. So they're getting started out. Yeah. But I see that the big cities, they stay away from there. They want this nice, simple, little house on the prairie type style little communities where everybody's just happy.
This is the YouTube generation.
Yeah, this is that generation. You know what? This is the generation. Isn't this when they started the second reading week for university?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, like they have reading week in the fall and one in the spring. Before they only had it in the spring.
But Hamilton used to be in all these articles as the place to go.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. And we're on to what are they talking about? St. John's, Newfoundland.
St. John's, Newfoundland.
Yeah, that's way out there. So
yeah. Burlington is number 13, though. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Like I'm surprised. You know what? It's just what they were raised with. Everything's stressful. I think we've put the stress on these kids.
Yeah,
like just crossing the street, we made it stressful for them.
I think right now it's the connection between autonomy in terms of a job and a position. Everybody wants the autonomy. The flexibility in terms of working their own hours or taking off when they want to and having that, and then the connection between effort and reward, right?
Be careful, we got a couple of Gen Zs here working in front of us as a studio.
I think having that, looking for that job that offers that effort and reward, like that's what attracts me to real estate. I think you get exactly what you put in out of it, right? If you're gonna show up every day and not do your calls and not
lifestyle's everything for Gen Z's. Lifestyle. And I get it. Maybe they're more right than we are. Well, maybe
we should maybe we should be more like them.
Yeah, you're right. Like they're enjoying life. Like we're in such a big rat race that it's Like it's the boomers put it on the millennials, and now the Gen Zs are looking at it and say, you guys are crazy.
These are, the gentle parenting generation.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah. Well, I'm calling a little BS on this report because listen, I don't see many young people going to St. John's, Newfoundland, and saying, you know what, this is the place where I want to. Nothing against St. John's.
No way. I think people go there to die. I don't know.
But I
mean, just for a visit.
Yeah. I mean, you don't. I don't know. I think it's St. John's, Newfoundland is the retirement spot to go to access your equity and sell your home and go live mortgage free and you know and live that lifestyle and more of a relaxed quiet, boring lifestyle. That's people go there to retire. I don't see a lot of young people talking about moving to Newfoundland.
Your neighbors come over with an apple pie and coffee. That's how it is. So
all the TikTok generation, with videos of their apple pie from their neighbor.
Yeah.
We got a couple minutes. I do want to get into a new partnership or a collaboration with the Realtors Association of Hamilton Burlington, the Waterloo Region Association of Realtors, and the Simcoe and District Real Estate Board are coming together next year. I know there's a voting process, but this is to amalgamate under the name Cornerstone Association of Realtors, or CAR. And I know this has been 3 years in the making. It sounds like this is a win-win-win. What do you guys think?
Yeah, you know what it is? Hamilton went to Waterloo and they wanted to amalgamate, and then they sent out to everybody else, say, hey, listen, if you guys when they were amalgamating, Simcoe and Mississauga saw it and said, hey, we're interested too. Sure. And the reason they want this amalgamation, which helps all the real estate boards, is capacity, efficiency,
access to information,
social, and provide more service. So like when you have events, you can actually get a big abundance of people. Like the Toronto Real Estate Board has like 70,000 members. Yeah. I mean, like filling up a room on no matter what event they have is not a problem. So definitely it is a good thing.
But also when they're going to pay for a new platform or a new technology or something, you have more of a buying power to bring all your members together. There's a lot of things that we pay for as a group, as an association. And if we can walk in there and say, we got 20, 30, 40,000 members instead of 3,000, or 3,500, which is what, Hamilton Burlington is right now, it makes us way stronger as an entire group. But that combined with access of information is huge.
We got to go, but I do want to mention you guys are in two parades today, Stony Creek and Grimsby.
Yes, yeah, looking forward to it. I love the night parades. Grimsby's at night, and Stony Creek is in the afternoon. And
come on out. We got a great float.
Yeah, you got to see it. You got to check out our float.
Oh, it's a phenomenal float. You can check them out on their social media feeds as well. And don't forget, you can listen to our show online through Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and many more. Just search for the Golfi Real Estate Show in your favorite podcast platform. Hit that follow button so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening to the Golfi Real Estate Show. We're back next Saturday at 9 on 900 CHML.